where I think the GLPs have a really good opportunity. But that snack is very popular.
It's actually crazy to me how well it works. And that's why I won't come off Retatrutide.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Doubt and Devotion podcast. I'm your co-host, Billy G.
What's going on, guys? I'm Jarrod.
And if you do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, comment, share, do anything. Interact with the video in any way, shape, or form. It would be very much appreciated. Both Jarrod and I put a lot of time and effort into this, as does our guy Mike. So we would like to see, just some engagement going down as a whole.
A little bit more action.
Just a smidge more, we'd be happy. But today we actually have a really cool episode. We're kind of naming it the optimized human, right? I feel like everybody nowadays is optimizing themselves, and they're trying to be the best that they can be, whether it's through peptides or whether it's through workout regimens or whether it's through surgeries. Everybody seems to be trying to level themselves up.
Yeah, and I was thinking a lot about this. What do you think caused this craze, this boom? I have my theories, but I'm curious what you think.
Man, look, I've been in the bodybuilding industry for a while, and I've seen so many things come and go. Okay, do you remember SARMs?
Yes.
Oh, man,
and
massive
that's
craze.
part of what I was going to ask you. Is it a fad or not?
So I think it's a fad in the fact that it's popular at the moment, but I don't think it's a fad as in their effectiveness. So like when we look back at SARMs were like mildly effective, but they came with all the downsides of traditional PEDs. Yeah. So it's like, why? Yeah. Why would I do this? Whereas these are coming with a lot of benefits, and granted, some do have some side effects. You've experienced a few yourself, yeah. So have I. They do have a couple side effects, but as a whole, they are organic compounds. Like a lot of times, peptides really are just protein amino acid chains that your body already has manipulated in some way in order to produce an effect. Whereas something like a SARM was a completely new compound that you were introducing to your body.
Yeah, which I think in theory makes sense as to why it would have some harsh reactions.
Yeah, for sure.
And my side effects, just to be clear, was human error.
Yeah.
So I can't even really blame the peptide.
For sure. Well, you ended up having an anaphylaxis reaction.
About 3 times.
Yeah, and that can be a normal reaction to some of those. It's really boiled down to your biology, how you react to things, the dose. There's so much involved. What other things were you taking in conjunction together that can bounce off each other and cause a reaction like that? The good news is I don't think there's any recorded cases of death from
Not that I did some research
peptides.
And I haven't seen anything.
None. That anaphylaxis is obviously scary, but I don't think it's the same level as like, a bee sting or something to where you need an EpiPen like immediately.
It was definitely scary.
Definitely scary. Yes, I've heard horror stories. Don't get me wrong of a nice scare. People calling the ambulance and all that stuff.
I was on one of them. I'm sad to say that I had it 3 times. I'm a little embarrassed to say
Didn't learn the first 2 times.
What I noticed was, like you said, I think I am straight up allergic to CJC.
Yeah.
So I just stopped that. As a whole, and now I'm honestly scared of MOTS-c too. I'm getting freaked out, so I stopped that.
Yeah.
Really, all I'm on is Retatrutide. I say all I'm on, but I'm on like 5.
Yeah.
Retatrutide, 5-amino, and tesamorelin.
Tesamorelin. Okay.
No, sorry, NAD+. I stopped tesamorelin.
Okay. All right. So I mean, look, in the 5-amino and the NAD+, like those kind of go hand in hand. 5-amino. Enhances NAD plus in the body. So there's so many different ones you can pick from that you kind of have to pick a goal, and then you have to use ones that make sense with each other. And you don't want redundancy, right? You don't want to be taking something that's kind of doing the same thing.
Which is what I was doing at one point.
A lot of people are doing that because they hear like, oh, this one does this and this one does that. And they're only focusing on one thing that they hear it does.
Exactly.
And they're stacking all these things together. You're like, I'm just take 8 of them.
I'm like, they both do fat loss, but I get what after you explain it, it's like, okay, that makes sense. But that's one of my issues, and that's what I would say is what we need to do more of is like research before just jumping on it.
Of course.
You know me. Yeah. I'm like, oh, it's good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll take 10.
Add to cart.
Yeah.
And it's a really bad habit, especially with something like this.
For sure.
You're in a boat where you understand the science behind it, which is a huge advantage.
Most of them, yes. The ones I'm interested in, at least. There's There's a ton out there, man, that I truly just don't have any interest in because I don't know too much about them, so I don't venture to learn more. But the ones that are up and coming, like, you know, the SS31s, the MOTS-cs, the 5-amino-1-MQs, any of the GLPs, SLU, PP332. There's a lot that I'm super interested in terms of changing the body, right? Because as a coach, when I have a client and I assess a client, right, like I always think, okay, I want to get them from point A to point B. How can we do this in the most efficient way possible? Okay, granted, the client has to be okay with doing certain things.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are at the point where they're like, look, just say what to do, man.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm ready. Okay, and those are the best clients to work with because they're usually very motivated. And I'm usually, you know, I'm always looking at like, okay, well, how can I get from A to B in the most efficient way possible, while, you know, eating as much food as possible, doing as least exercise as possible. And when I say that, I don't mean that in a lazy way. I mean I don't want you on the treadmill for 2 hours a day. I don't want you going to the gym for an hour plus
Efficiency,
2 hours
like
of
you
cardio,
said.
plus eating fish and vegetables. Like, people do dumb shit like that.
Yeah.
And then they burn out and they're like, oh, gee, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
You know, like I try to do things efficiently, okay? And I'm not going to lie to you, bro. These things have made a huge difference.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't care what anyone says.
They have made a huge difference.
They are magical.
Yeah, they're
magical.
pretty impressive, man.
It's been a massive advantage for me for just keeping some of the gains that I do have, even though I'm not, like, again, I dislocated my shoulder, so now I'm back again being out of the gym, and I'm noticing I'm maintaining way better than I would have.
Absolutely.
It's night and day different.
Yes.
You know, you wouldn't know that I've been out of the gym for weeks, going on 2 months.
Yes, and I'll tell you what, so like even just my own anecdote, like I'm pretty much always on my diet, always in the gym. I'm always on my plan, right? Well, I took like a week off because I just got married. Congratulations to me.
to you.
Yep. I just got married on Saturday, and, you know, a couple days beforehand, I took off the gym and kind of ate whatever I wanted, you know, during the wedding and the day after, and even the day after that, and just kind of did whatever I wanted. And now, normally, my body's pretty sensitive to stuff like that. I'm definitely the more endomorphic type, where like, I can be a fat boy, pretty easily. Okay, so I got to really watch what I do. And man, like, I remember I woke up today, I went to the gym for the first time today, and I pulled my shirt up, I looked in the mirror, I was like, I still have a six-pack. You know, still have a six-pack, I feel good. And I've been eating this week. You know, I have. My weight only went up like 2 pounds.
Yeah, it's night and day
That's
different.
not how my body normally operates. And like I said, I'm real in touch with what's going on with me. So just from my own anecdote, like, I've been able to kind of like take my foot off the gas a little bit and not really see any detriment.
Yeah.
You know,
I would say that's my absolute favorite part about it. You know, obviously, Retatrutide has a laundry list.
$1 trillion
laundry list of benefits.
$1 trillion product. Once it actually hits FDA approval, I think it's going to change the human species.
Well, as of 2025, it was $140 billion, if I'm not mistaken, give or take.
Yeah.
The peptide industry, not Retatrutide, but the peptide industry.
Yeah.
They're saying by 2033 they expect it to double, or if not more.
Absolutely.
$290 billion
Yes,
industry.
and, you know, regardless of how you feel about the guy, President Trump has made these things way more affordable.
Yeah.
There is like a whole laundry list of medications that are going to be way more affordable because the government is subsidizing them slightly. So I think we're going to maybe see the end of the obesity epidemic in America, which is crazy.
And it's insane to say that it can completely eradicate obesity.
That's so crazy.
It's a fact.
Crazy.
It's a fact that people get on board, that is.
Right. And look, there is a right and wrong way to do these things, just like anything in life, okay? I don't support people who just stick the needle in their stomach and just do nothing.
Yeah.
Right? They just don't eat, and then, you know, they lose their appetite, and they don't eat, and they lose 40 pounds where 20 of it is lean muscle, right? I don't support that at all. I think you're putting yourself in a dangerous situation doing that. You're literally making your body weaker that way. However, using these things in conjunction with a good diet, with a training regimen, and then when I say training, you need to strength train in order to show your body, hey, muscle is important. Please don't get rid of this, okay? You can change you can change the way your body metabolizes food, you know, which is wild. There's been nothing like that before, ever, you know?
So if someone came to you, since you are a coach, and they're like, I want to simultaneously lose weight and build muscle, which typically is a very, very difficult thing to do. Would you still say that's unrealistic, or with these, like you said, in conjunction with these peptides, do you think it's possible?
Depends on their experience level. So a brand spanking new person, yes, totally possible, because you can almost do 8 out of 10 things wrong when you're new and still make gains.
Yeah.
Okay. Like the first 6 months or so, you can do a lot wrong and still make really good progress. So yeah, I usually tell people like, dude, if you just like get consistent for a couple months, you're going to get great results.
Yeah.
With the red A or with not, or with whatever these peptides are with not. Just granted, I think that some people feel like because I take this thing, I'm therefore going to work harder because I'm taking this thing. So it's almost like while the product does work, they also work harder because they take the product, right? We see that in bodybuilding a lot. You see guys get on cycle, they get humongous, they look great, and then it's time to PCT or come off, and they're like, okay, well, I'm not going to work as hard now. And then they go, oh, I lost all my gains. Well, yeah, dude, because your same level of output and motivation isn't there. Okay. So yeah, in the beginning, I'll always tell somebody, dude, you can make drastic changes. I'd say in your first year of training, man, of truly transforming the way your body works. Now, as it goes on, right, as you become more experienced in the gym, your body slows down on a lot of those processes, and then it becomes more of a grind.
Yeah.
Then it's like
once you hit the plateau.
Yeah. Then it's like, all right, man, let's pick one direction or another.
Yeah.
Let's go all in at that direction, and then we can turn things around, right? And I like to do things in cyclical patterns. So like, let's do 3 months of a fat loss phase. Hold for a month, then do a muscle gain phase for 3 or 4 months. How are we looking? Do we need to clean things up? Should we keep going? How's our body composition looking? There's so many things I ask myself when I'm assessing somebody and how long we've been doing something or what their ultimate end goal is. So there's a lot of nuance when it comes to coaching, when it comes to changing your body, using peptides and all that, which I think is why it's wise to have a coach. I mean, look, I even still have a coach, which as much as I know, right? Because it's good to have somebody just remove all the excess thinking for you. Now, granted, do your research, hire a good person, someone who knows what they're doing, what they're talking about for your experience level, right? But I think it's a massive advantage to be able to remove those things from your head and just do.
Yeah.
So many people operate so much better that way.
I mean, I feel like most people probably do. Like even me,
better.
like I know pretty much every exercise and I know how to properly lift and I know the vast majority, but I still go to you.
Yeah, same. I mean, dude, I pay a guy every month, you know, because he coaches people that are at my experience level, people who he doesn't have to babysit. He just goes, yo, dude, here's what you do. We'll talk in a week or two. I execute. We collaborate on ideas together. Like, hey, this is kind of what I'm seeing. This is what I would do if I was my client. He agrees or he doesn't agree. You know what I mean? So we're
give and take.
Yes, we're at a different level, of coaching than like, let's say, me starting with somebody who's green. At that point, it's like, dude, you just don't worry about anything. I got this. You know what I mean?
So let's say that it is someone relatively new.
Yeah.
And they tell you, let's just focus on one because I guess it probably gets complicated when you're trying to do both. Let's say they're focused on weight loss. What are the go-to peptides that you're going to recommend?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think right out the gate, now let me preface this with, we immediately need to go into changing your habits. Okay, we immediately need to go into changing the diet, getting yourself into some sort of movement pattern. Like sometimes I'll give people the most basic training plans, man. Like use all the pin-loaded machines at Crunch Fitness. I don't care, right? Like just show your body that movement and muscle is important.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do first, right? And then generally, I think one of the first things I'll go for is SLU PP332.
Okay.
I do. I'll probably go for that first because I find that it is an oral. We remove the whole needle aspect. We remove the injection aspect that people get really freaked out about.
Yeah.
Or they don't want to tell their significant other, or you know what I mean. And what this does is it will help speed up your metabolism pretty quickly. This is one of the first things that they've actually sort of patented as exercise in a bottle. Okay. So it'll change how many calories you burn simply at rest. So if we can add a low dose, like 500 micrograms of SLU PP332 into somebody's regimen, we can see some pretty quick progress. People are going to notice they're sweating more, they're hungrier, they're running a little hotter than usual. And that's usually going to be my go-to, simply for the ease of use, and it's got a pretty good safety profile to it.
So it's like a good starter.
Correct. Yeah, correct. Now, granted, I've heard people have taken. Now, granted, I just said 500 micrograms, which is, for those who don't know, is a 1,000th of a milligram. I know there are some people taking 100 milligrams of it.
Oh, whoa.
200 milligrams of it. So you can see that the ceiling on it is humongous.
Oh, wow.
So
I didn't know that.
Our margin of error is huge, which I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I see that as safety, comfortable, whereas something like MOTS-c, the margin of error is very small.
Yeah.
Much smaller than you want to believe.
Dude, 1-2 units extra. And
And you're going to be not feeling very good. Same thing with retatrutide. Man, you misjudge that, you're going to have a bad time. Okay, so I look at things like that, right? I look at, okay, what is the most user-friendly thing we could use
ease of
at the
use,
moment?
margin
Yes.
for error.
Correct, yes.
So that's the starting phase, and then I would assume once they get to a certain stage and they're satisfied, they're seeing the changes, then would you introduce something like retatrutide?
Yes, especially when they start to see hunger increase. Okay, and especially if I have somebody who is used to eating a lot. Okay, they're maybe an emotional eater, or they're just the type where they graze. Okay, so we have people who, they graze from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to bed. They don't really have meals. They have like snacks all day. Okay, those are the most dangerous.
I was going to say that's probably the biggest problem.
Rough, okay, because it's hard to break that with somebody and go, here, I want you to eat 5 meals a day instead, or 4 meals a day, and they're like,
yeah,
what? Reta will help really break that pattern because it removes that food noise, man.
Yeah.
It removes that thing in the back of your brain where it goes, eat that potato chip.
Yep.
You see that M&M over there? You can have 2 of them.
It's actually crazy to me how well it works, and that's why I say it jokingly, but I'm dead serious. I won't come off retatrutide. I won't until they come out with something that's like.
So look, I think you should come off at some point, okay? Because you do need to resensitize receptors. We don't know the long-term data on this stuff yet. Now, granted, people have been taking semaglutide for years.
Yeah, see that I would not.
Semaglutide's been out for a while, and we're seeing some decent side effects with semaglutide. But the thing is, you're looking at just the GLP aspect of it at a super high dose, and that's what we're seeing. You can't really even compare that to something like even tirzepatide or retatrutide, because even though they're in the same class, they're doing different things. They're doing so many different things, right? So I think everybody, this is not something you should run indefinitely unless you are a diabetic, which is actually what the drug is made for.
Yeah.
It's made to manage type 2 diabetes mainly. So if you're not a diabetic, I think it's wise to cycle on and off or have periods of very, very low doses.
That's my plan.
Yeah, at least coming down to a very low dose, under 1 milligram per week, to let your body chill.
Yeah.
Right? Because you what we don't want either, and this is something that is a concern with GLPs, is the blunting of the reward center of the brain. Okay, so something that GLPs do is when we eat a piece of chocolate, your brain goes, yes. Okay, and it's a reward, it's a dopamine hit. Now, we have other things in life that do that for us. Sex, love, getting that new car, making more money.
Scrolling Instagram.
Yeah, well, having a good relationship with your family all gives you that nice, warm, fuzzy feeling. They're theorizing that if you blunt that for too long, that it starts to bleed into those other aspects of your life.
Interesting. So you'll lose the spikes, you're saying?
Yes. So sex may not be as interesting to you. Your significant other, you might not feel as loving toward them.
I guess I'll come off.
Yeah, your children even, so we do want those pleasure centers to be stimulated, right? So I think, like I said, I think it's wise to do it in a cyclical pattern, everything in a cyclical pattern, unless it is a bioidentical hormone like testosterone or a thyroid medication or something of that nature. That's completely different. But something like this, where we're manipulating a system, not replacing a system, there definitely should be a cycle to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's just tough. I feel like I can't imagine not being on it. You know what I mean?
I get it. I totally
I'm
get
on 2 milligrams right now, so relatively low.
And what's crazy is if you look at the clinical trials, man, they're going to 12 milligrams.
Blows my mind.
12 milligrams.
I wouldn't eat a
I don't even know
potato
if I
chip
could
a
drink
day.
water at 12 milligrams.
Right now, 2 milligrams, and I struggle. I struggle.
Yeah. I know.
But the food noise for me is the biggest benefit.
Of course.
Like I have a major sweet tooth, and
I do too, man.
Just being able to have, even if I have that craving, which is more rare, I'll have a bite or 2 bites and boop, I'm done.
Right.
Like I used to smash a pint of Ben & Jerry's with no problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I haven't done that in so long.
Oh, sounds fantastic right
I
now.
haven't done that in like years.
But I can't do it anymore, and
Right.
I that's my favorite
But
part
see, here's
about
the
it.
thing. But this is where I think the GLPs have a really good opportunity for us as a society. Is it allows you a chance to hit the pause button and break that pattern, right? Like you're now, who knows? You may come off of retatrutide and still keep that.
Maybe
pattern.
you're wired that way now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we don't really know yet, right?
They're,
And
they're
granted-
definitely saying, they're insinuating that it does have the chance to rewire, basically.
Yes.
It's not proven yet.
Yes, definitely not. And there are people who rebound terribly,
Yeah.
especially coming off of semaglutide. And tirzepatide is even still newish, but some people rebounding off tirzepatide as well. So, like, I think it depends on how you handle the time that you're on
Yeah.
a drug like that, right? Are you making new habits for yourself? Are you creating new routines, creating new
Yeah.
systems, right? I think if you're doing those things, I think you can safely come off of something
That
like
makes sense, and that's probably my problem is I need to start doing that.
Right.
Because right now, I kind of eat what I want. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah,
now
you're
that
not
you're
eating a
saying
lot
it,
of it.
you're triggering.
Yeah.
It makes sense. So I do agree with you. If I was consistently for the last 2 months I've been on it, meal prepping and dieting
Correct.
properly,
Correct.
building that habit,
Correct.
maybe the habit stays. That makes perfect sense.
It does.
So that's something that you just triggered in me that I need
yes,
to change.
Yes, because they say it takes 90 days to build a habit, right? I don't know if that's 100% true or not, but I do know habits, you have to do them consistently over
Yes.
time. And if somebody's able to just hit the pause button on all that noise and able to build that routine, what an absolute win that is for humanity. You know, especially for this country who is massively overweight. Our country is the fattest country on the planet.
Yep.
Okay. What an absolute win for humanity.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense now that you say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, and then we bleed over into some of the other stuff. We have like the mitochondrial type peptides like MOTS-c and SS31. You know, those are going to help repair at the cellular level. A lot of people are walking around with chronic fatigue. A lot of people are walking around heavily beaten to the ground from work stress, training stress, sometimes even from the gym, relationship stress, all these things going on up here. And these compounds have been shown to pull you out of that hole that you're in.
Can act as a reset, basically.
Yeah, it could give you the energy and the motivation to pull yourself out of that little slump that you're in and help repair some of these processes that are going on inside.
So
bring inflammation down.
Break them down a little bit more, because obviously, again, you understand more of the science of it.
Yeah.
So the MOTS-c, kind of explain as much as you can.
Yeah,
on what it's doing.
Essentially, it's a supercharger. Okay, so if we look at the mitochondria, it's the powerhouse of the cell, right? Every cell has it. Okay, and it's what energy. It's the energy that we have in our body. The MOTS-c goes in there and turns the volume up. Okay, so your energy might be not moving that great, right? MOTS-c comes in there and makes it move better, right? We'll then increase the metabolism, we increase alertness, awareness, and it does this all without stimulating your heart rate, which is a massive win, okay? Because what are we doing every day, right? Everybody is drinking caffeine.
Yep.
Everybody's taking stimulants like Adderall or whatever, right, to jack themselves up to get ready for their day. And what they don't understand, or at least even if they do, they don't stop, that you're doing this.
Spikes.
Correct. Yeah. Caffeine, it can be a wonderful tool, but it is the most abused drug on the planet. And I say drug because caffeine is a drug.
100%.
Okay. It is the most abused drug on the planet next to food. And it spikes cortisol. If you overdo it, it'll bite you really bad. So something like MOTS-c can come in and turn up that energy for you without any of the bad stimulation, without upping your cortisol levels, giving your central nervous system a bit of a relax while you still have that energy. It's pretty wild, man. And then you have SS31, who actually comes in and repairs any broken mitochondria that you have. So it's almost like a mechanic, all right? So think of it coming in, it's sweeping up and it's cleaning up all of the mitochondria that you have in your body. So a lot of times people will do SS31 first. They do the cleanup, and then they do the rev up with the MOTS-c.
So
right?
it's like a cleanup, then a repair, and almost like a replacement.
Correct. So it's almost like we clean things up with the SS31, and then we come in with the MOTS-c and supercharge it all, right? And that's a very common stack that people are doing right now. And they also, and granted, these things need to be taken in cycles. You shouldn't be doing it year round. SS31 for maybe 6 weeks, 8 weeks, same thing. MOTS-c, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Boom, shut it down. Now, the cool part is you should want to shut it down because you should be feeling pretty stimulated by the end of a MOTS-c cycle. You should be like, okay, I'm maybe a little too awake now, because I'm feeling good. My body's doing it on its own. And if anything, I'm just taking myself past my natural, right? You come off, and then you realize that your baseline has changed. You realize that I feel good. I all the stress that I've kind of put on myself over the years has kind of been cleaned up. It's a really cool peptide.
One of the things I feel like we kind of skipped over that I think is super important is replacement therapy. So testosterone and even for females,
Massive.
I don't think females truly understand how big of a role their hormones play.
Yeah.
And I think it's drastically overlooked.
I think they're starting to understand.
They are.
I think they're starting to understand.
They are.
And I think that they're starting to understand too that, these doctors who just throw 15-year-old girls on birth control are not doing them a whole lot of favors, in a lot of circumstances. There are circumstances where girls should be on birth control, ones who have maybe PCOS, they have a high androgen load and they need to balance it out by introducing estrogen into the body. But a lot of females are getting a massive disservice by taking birth control simply for the fact of not wanting to get pregnant when their hormones were completely normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now you're introducing progesterone and estrogen and you're aging yourself internally. The risk of blood clots, there's a risk of aneurysms. Like the list can go on and on.
Aside from all the risks, which is obviously the most important factor, they experience the same things we experience when we have low T.
As they get older.
So they're fatigued, libido, it's just everything across the board.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're wondering why they feel that way.
Yeah.
I'm saying this because Daniela, I've been talking to her for months now, trying to get her to kind of go over to the clinic that I'm going to. Shout out to Kent. And it's like one of the best things I've done for myself in a while.
Oh, me too. I got on replacement therapy years ago. Shout out to androgenics. I got on replacement years ago and night and day. That it's something I'll take forever. It is. I can't imagine life without it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like a veil was lifted.
Well, what's nice is like they do blood work. They do the broadest panel I've ever seen ever. And then he sat me down for like almost 4 hours.
Dang.
Explaining
That's amazing.
everything
That's
to me.
amazing. That's a good place.
And it was unbelievable how detailed and just everything. He took,
That's the kind of place
it
you
was
want,
amazing.
man. Yeah, and look, androgenics is very similar where, granted, they don't have to educate me a whole lot. So they just look, they're another one where they just collaborate with me. They look at my blood work and they're like, look, man, what do you think? This is what I think. Yeah, we do too. Okay, let's change the dose. Let's do that under Arimidex. Let's do this, blah, blah, blah. What you don't want, and for the viewers, we don't want the equivalent of pill mills for hormone replacement. Meaning we don't just want 20-year-old kids walking in there and being like, hook it up with some tests.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And their blood works just fine.
Yep.
And those places exist. They will do it for
100%.
you. Yeah, especially here in Florida. They will do it for you. You don't want a place that's going to run a very just generic panel and then just give you some tests and send you on your way and not tell you what to do because like everything, there are side effects involved that could be pretty detrimental if you don't do this right.
Yeah. And that's what's nice is so it wasn't just about the testosterone therapy. Yeah. I have all these compounds that are specific to me. Like even the thyroid is not just your standard thyroid. It's specific.
The dose was specific to you. That's awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Even vitamin D, like all these things that you could just go get off Amazon.
Yeah.
And it will help you. But this is like to the T for you, specific to you, depending on your blood work.
Yeah, and then you take it, follow up, correct the levels at now.
Yeah, even a thyroid, like you start at a lower dose or whatever, and then once you get through that, you up it a little bit.
Yeah, I've been on the thyroid for years too.
I have to have it. I forget. I have the one that makes you fat.
Hypo.
Hypo.
Yeah. Mine was coming back pretty hypo too at one point. My TSH was like in the 4s, which for reference, you want to be in the 1s. Higher the number, the worse it is.
Yeah.
You know, once you start getting into double digits, then you're looking at things like Hashimoto's disease and like, you know, bad stuff.
Yeah.
Really bad stuff.
And he just started breaking down everything. Even like, I guess a lot of things, they start to hire certain things so people don't fall into that category just because they want to put you on specific medication. So they started upping things that were at one point lower on the panels for the norm.
Yeah.
And he started explaining why, like the, you know, heart association upped, you might know, but it was like something specific that they upped that would allow them to basically give people the medication that they want to be pumping out. You know, like if you go to a normal doctor, they try to put me on blood pressure medication and
what a waste of time.
all this stuff that I literally went and self-regulated through cold plunging.
Yeah.
You know, and the side effects of the medication that they were trying to put me on it was a laundry list of side effects.
Well, not to mention, man, like, and this is for anybody who is serious about working out, going to the family doctor and getting your blood panel run, they're not going to interpret that correctly. Okay?
They definitely didn't.
They will not, okay? Because the reference ranges that are given in blood work are for the standard American who goes to work, sits on his ass there, then goes home and sits on his ass there, and then sleeps on his ass, and then gets up and sits on his ass again. So we're looking at very low levels of things, right? Now, you start working out, you're going to notice your liver enzymes are going to fluctuate. You're going to notice that your creatinine, which is a kidney marker, it's called a kidney marker, but really it's a protein breakdown marker. It's found in muscle too. So as you break down muscle, your creatinine will go up, and then the doctor thinks you have kidney disease, right? So there's things like that are happening, that changes that will happen in your blood work as you start to optimize yourself, that starts to give a family doctor red flags. I've had clients call me and they go, my doctor wants to do a biopsy of my liver. I'm like, what do you mean, do a biopsy of your liver? Send me the results, man. They send it to me. Now, granted, the reference range for your liver enzymes are generally in the upper 30s for ALT and AST. And this guy came back and he was like in the 50s. Okay. Now, for reference, once you're in like the hundreds, maybe we need to start worrying. Okay. So we're talking about an extremely mild elevation here. And this is simply just from training. Okay. Again, ALT and AST are also found in the muscle. As you break muscle down, those levels rise in the blood. Looks like you have liver disease, right? So that is how out of touch this doctor was. He literally saw a 15 to 20 point increase in his liver markers and was ready to stick a needle in this guy's liver and biopsy it. Yeah, so mind-blowing.
Wow.
So this is why it's so important to either have a doctor who is, I think, younger, more up-to-date on the medicine, or is specifically at a hormone type clinic. Because, and this is for active people, because they're going to understand what your blood work looks like or should look like for the type of person that you are. Yeah.
Like even you, if you went and you were put on a scale at a typical doctor's,
I'm obese.
You're obese. I'm obese.
I'm terribly obese.
Yeah. So even something like that, it just doesn't make sense.
I know. Believe me, I know. And you know, it's frustrating because right now, I think a huge reason why, you know, the country is where it is with its obesity epidemic is because of the lack of education that doctors are getting to then pass on to their clients. At one point, I think it's changed a lot now, but at one point in our society, it was always trust the doctor. Doctor says this, it's gospel.
Yep.
Okay. Whereas now I think people are starting to be like, oh, I don't know if this guy is like giving me the right information here. And they're starting to do their own research on things. And I think because of that period where we were like, let's just listen to the government, let's just listen to the doctor, it got us into this predicament where everybody's kind of just fat, bro. You know, it's not disease curing, it's disease management, right? I mean, they want, I'm not saying they want you sick, but you being sick is pretty profitable for them.
They do.
Okay, it's pretty profitable. If you're not showing up,
it's a fact.
Yeah, I mean, if you're taking BPC 157 and TB 500 to cure the tendonitis in your elbow and not getting the prednisone pack from them and the meloxicam from them,
or these steroid injections.
You're taking money out of their pocket.
Yeah,
you're taking money out of their pocket.
It's a fact. It's undeniable. That's what they want. They want us sick so they could continue to pump us full of medications and
which I think is why they're going to be very cavalier about these peptides.
I mean, they already are.
Don't play, bro.
The fact that these are not. At least like retatrutide, which I know they're working on making
that'll
it FDA
be out,
approved.
I think, next year, man.
But it's just the point that like BPC, that's not FDA approved yet, correct?
No, but so I know that the White House just recently let out a list of peptides that they're going to allow.
I feel like that might have been on there.
I believe it was.
Yeah.
That they're going to allow compounding pharmacies or doctors to write off label. So, the whole reason compound pharmacies even exist is for somebody like, let's say you have this reaction where you can't take pills, right? You puke every time you take pills, but yet the doctor needs to write you an antibiotic. So what do? Well, compounding pharmacy is technically only there to take that medication and make it able to be used for you as a person. So they would put it in liquid form, right? That's like what we see the kids at the bubble gum, the bubble gum penicillin, right?
Yeah.
It's from a compounding pharmacy. So, but now what compounding pharmacies are doing, and the kind of the loophole that they're taking is doctors are writing these prescriptions to compound pharmacies for BPC 157, for GHKCU, for TB500, and that's how they're kind of skirting the system a little bit. You know what I mean? So I believe that they're going to allow that to continue with the certain list. I could be wrong. You can correct me in the comments, but the way I understand it, I believe that's how it's going to be.
At the bare minimum, I definitely think that retatrutide and BPC 157 and TB500 should immediately be FDA.
Well, I mean, Reta will absolutely be out, man. I mean, I don't know the I don't know if it's Novo Nordisk or one of the main manufacturers that will be. The doctors will be prescribing that. Dude, that's going to be $1 trillion product.
100%.
It's going to change the face of this planet.
While on the subject, because I'm actively taking it, and I've done it many times before, the Wolverine stack. Right. So BPC 157 and TB 500 for those who don't know.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it local into my shoulder. Yeah. And within 2 weeks already, I've noticed a significant difference.
Yeah, man.
I don't have to be in a sling. I was in a sling for a full month.
Yeah, man.
And then I started doing the local, which I know people kind of have their thoughts on that. I think from what the research shows and just how it's making me feel, I prefer local.
Yeah.
But I know people say it doesn't really matter.
Well, the BPC should be local. The TB 500 is more systemic. It's really, there's not even a lot of real TB 500 out there. You're really getting thymosin beta 4, which is a polymer of TB 500. They just call it that because it's a recognizable name, but essentially does the same exact thing. The TB500 goes more systemic. You can put that anywhere, right? And really the half-life is pretty long on it. But the BPC 157 half-life is relatively short. You can even do it 2 times per day in the area that you want. And it even comes in an oral form for people who have ulcers, for people who have SIBO, candida overgrowth.
Yeah, see, I do both. So I have the oral because I want more of the dose of the BPC.
Yeah.
So I do the oral in the morning and then I locally inject into my shoulder at night.
You can. I mean, here's the thing. The one you're taking orally, not really going to go too far systemically. It's going to help your digestive system. I mean, because that's really where it's derived from. Body protective compound is actually derived from your GI anyway. Okay, so by taking it orally, you're really supporting your GI tract. So if you have somebody who, like I said, has candida overgrowth or SIBO or gastritis, any inflammation of the stomach, man, oral BPC is going to do a lot. Ulcerative colitis, going to make a humongous difference. I even want to see, and this is, maybe I shouldn't even say it, but I want to know, could you put it in a suppository for hemorrhoids? Right?
Interesting.
Could it help as a suppository for hemorrhoids? Because hemorrhoids are a major problem.
Yeah.
And by the time it gets all the way down there, it's been used. So
interesting.
Right? Now, I don't know. Now, it can't cross the skin barrier, right? But if you're going in rectally, right, if in that very thin layer, it may be able to do something for you there. Yeah.
Maybe you'll be the
I don't
first
know.
human to try it.
I know. But that stack is very popular. I mean, I think those two are really the ones that kind of put peptides on.
I would agree.
On game,
the Wolverine
on the
was
market.
all over the place,
Yes.
and it's so great for athletes.
Yes.
Even on a recovery level, Obviously, it's like very hard to prove that it's helping in recovery, but I definitely feel like I notice it. I bounce back quicker after a hard workout.
Yeah.
I definitely think it works, but for the shoulder, 100%, I could see a difference.
For sure.
And I'm sure it's helping me overall with my back in general, just
Yeah.
you know, consistently injecting it.
For sure. And here's the thing with that, like, you know, those things help with short-term injuries. You dislocated your shoulder, if you tear a muscle, if you have a humongous scratch on your back, whatever, right? Pull a tooth. Those things help in that acute setting. But what I don't think that BPC and TB helps with long-term inflammation. Like, let's say you have a pinched nerve in your back. It's not going to do much for that.
But inflammation as a whole,
It could help.
does.
It could, yes. But what I'm saying is, I don't want people to be like, "Oh, I have
not a cure.
slip disc in my lower back.
No.
Let me jam a bunch of BPC and TB."
No.
Like, unfortunately, man, if you have a structural problem, I don't think it's.
I
Gonna
feel
help
like it's
that.
more for like tendon
Soft
injuries.
tissues.
Yeah.
Yes. Soft tissues is going to go a long way.
Tendon problems
Yeah.
and soft tissue.
Yes.
I definitely think so. But I will say that I noticed that my back's not as inflamed as often.
Okay.
That's like
That very well could be.
I could
Yeah.
definitely tell.
Very well. You know,
or maybe it's placebo. I don't care.
well,
either
you know
way,
what?
it's helping me.
I mean, think about it like this. I mean, you are surrounding the spine is full of soft tissue.
Exactly.
So if those are getting irritated because your spine is out of whack, or if you have a pinched nerve or whatever, if you're allowing those things to settle down,
Exactly.
therefore there is less pain.
Yeah, it's less
Of course.
irritated.
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
It definitely feels like it's helping.
Yeah, that
but
makes
the
complete
shoulder,
sense.
undoubtedly, it's drastic difference in just 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And there's plenty of other like optimizations that are happening out there, right? Like, think about all the hair transplants that you're starting to see.
Mm-hmm.
I know so many dudes doing hair transplants at this point, right? I think that we're starting to see a lot of like our generation. This is not to say that like plastic surgery and all those things weren't popular before, because they were. But I think we're starting to see a lot of our generation, as we're getting older, trying to find solutions to the aging problem.
100%. And so weight loss and anti-aging are the two fastest growing peptide spaces. Like that's what people are chasing the most.
Right.
And while on the anti-aging topic, what do you think about the whole glow? They call it Kalo or glow, whatever.
Well, they're separate things.
Two different ones.
They're separate things. So the glow is GHKCU with BPC and TB500. And the Clo is a product called KPV with GHKCU, TB500, and BPC.
Yeah, it has an additional one.
Correct. So the copper stuff is interesting. So copper can directly correlate with something called lysyl oxidase in your skin. So it can naturally toughen.
Make you tanner too.
Well, kind of. I mean, it naturally toughens the skin, right? So what we don't, as we age and the skin wrinkles, okay, and it starts to lose its elasticity, we can see now that people who are using copper, they're starting to get that elasticity back because of that lysyl oxidase increase, okay? Now, the lysyl oxidase increase can come at a price. I think if you're trying to grow, it can make things more difficult. I think it's not that great for gains because of that aspect of it. But I think for the average person who maybe wants to increase their skin or health, or maybe even thin their skin out a little bit, get that shrink-wrapped skin look, get rid of the wrinkles and help with their hair growth, nails, I think GHKC is huge for that aspect of it. But I think it's a give or take. It depends on what you're going to use it for. So you see it mixed with the healing stuff, because everybody is trying to heal these things that are going on. Like even people who are getting crazy cystic acne, they're taking the GHKCU with BPC, with TB, all in an effort to bring all that inflammation down.
What's the nickname for it? Isn't it like the celebrity peptide or something? I forget what they call it.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty
not
sure it's the celebrity peptide.
Yeah, but again,
all the
it's
celebrities
because
take
of that. It's because of that skin effect that it has.
Yeah.
Yes.
I noticed a difference when I was taking it.
Yeah.
I took it for I think like a month.
Did you?
And then I took a break.
Yeah.
But I noticed my skin got a little
I'm
better.
hesitant with the copper just for my own growth purposes. I don't want to do anything that's going to screw up any kind of growth for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's one of those ones where I'm just kind of sitting back and watching, right? Like Laura took it before the wedding because she wanted to kind of, enhance her skin. And while we did notice that, We also noticed that it was making her break out a little bit. Her hair was growing a little bit too fast than she liked. And I mean, like the hair on like her arms and legs and stuff, things that girls don't want.
Yeah, the areas
you know what I
you
mean?
don't
Yeah,
want.
yeah. So I think that there's a give and take with it. I think it's a good product for what it does, but I think it becomes with a very specific goal in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of these peptides are that way.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you think caused this craze? Not necessarily peptide craze, the fitness craze as a whole.
The optimization.
You know,
craze.
I noticed I feel like COVID was a massive part of it, right? Just because I feel like boredom struck, people started wanting to go and be active, and the bicycles were sold out everywhere.
Yeah.
People were outside being active more. Yeah. So I do think that played a part in it, but it wasn't a fad. It kind of stuck around, you know? So I don't really know, but I know that was part of it. I would say maybe social media.
That was again my answer,
right? Because you have all these younger generation people that are seeing all these people that are on social media that are either fitness coaches or whatever. I don't know, that's it's just becoming more and more the norm, which is great. It's fantastic for sake of overall health. But what do you think it is?
Well, I mean, I think that we see trends in society. Period. I mean, look back in the '90s, right? The early '90s was all about heroin chic, right? Everybody was super thin in the '90s. Thin was in. Whereas now, I think we're starting to see that the more fit look is in. I mean, open up the Explore page on Instagram. Tell me how many girls' asses that you see. Tell me how many dudes you see hawking peptides. Tell me how many dudes you see with their shirt off in the gym. Everybody is seeing the optimized person on social media constantly, right? And I think that we see it and we're like, well, how can I achieve that? I want to look like that, you know? And then it starts what does it take to get there? And then we go, okay, well, yes, the diet, the training, blah, blah, and the gyms are exploding. I mean,
it's crazy.
The gym is probably, might be the most popular it's ever been. But I think, of course, with that comes the shortcuts. You know, naturally, people want, how do I get there the fastest? That's just the society that we're in. But I think that the biggest thing is social media. I think that we're starting to, again, view people's lives pretty intensely. And then, you know, you have all these people with great bodies all over the internet, and naturally people are going to start to want to gravitate toward that. And I think that you have some people who are like, oh, love yourself at any size. Even those people are starting to get in shape. Look at Lizzo. Have you seen Lizzo lately? I mean, and she was like the frontier of the love yourself at any size thing. And even she went and started losing weight. Okay. Because I think people are starting to understand that, like, you know, there's not only a societal, bias towards how you look on the outside, but there's a health aspect to this too, man. I mean, you mentioned COVID. Think about how many people died of COVID that probably didn't have to die because they were horribly out of shape, because they were massively obese. I mean, they were obese, and the elderly were the highest risks of anybody, including people with like asthma and stuff, man. You know what I mean? And smokers, which is crazy. Okay, obesity was the number one comorbidity.
Yeah, you would assume that smokers
they would be first,
and
right?
asthma.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was the comorbidity of obesity. So I think that, you know, while yes, it is a visual thing, I think it's also one of these things where we're like, you know, maybe I do want to live a longer life, and if I want to live a longer life, I should probably start cleaning my act up a little bit.
Yeah, I do think for the majority, obviously, you have your sections where people do want to be massive and
you have the outliers on both.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think the majority are probably more focused on overall health.
For sure.
Obviously, looks are a massive benefit too. But I do think, like, I'll tell you, that's my main concern now is my overall health and just living as long as possible for my kids and my family. So, it's an awesome shift to see, obviously, and hopefully this stays on this path and it's not a fad, and we can work on eradicating obesity and you know, all that other type of stuff that comes with it. Diabetes, all that stuff, you know.
A lot of just preventable disease.
Yeah. How do you see, not necessarily into fitness specifically, but optimization as a whole? How do you see AI playing into this?
Well, I think that it will make the access to the information easier. I think that, but we have to be careful with it too, because AI obviously doesn't think for itself, right? It finds information and then it spits it back to you, and it gives you the ad lib version of it, right? If it's pulling bad information, then it's going to give you bad information. And let's get real, on the internet, there is a ton of bad information. So I would be maybe a bit more cautious with AI when it comes to any sort of drug, maybe the interactions, like if you're worried, will this interact with my whatever medication? I think that's fine because those are absolutes. But I think when it comes to dosing, when it comes to even giving like specific diet advice, I would be a little cautious with that. I think it can map out a good outline for you, give you the bones of your program, but it won't be able to give you the details for you.
I was going to ask you, and I have my thoughts on this, but do you see AI getting to a point, because obviously it's growing and getting better on a regular basis. Like I could think 2-3 years back wasn't super impressive to me, and now it's like mind blowing.
Very impressive.
So do you think that it's going to be able to eventually replace certain jobs? Like I don't, but I'm curious if you think there will be enough growth for it, like therapy, even coaching, or do you think it's just going to enhance people's ability to be the best coach they could be? You know,
right? That's a good question.
I know that's a hard question.
No, it's a good one though. I think it depends on what you want, right? So let me ask you this. If you got a phone call from a robot, would you be more inclined to talk to the robot on the phone or a human on the phone?
I think it depends on what it's about, to be honest with you.
So if I'm calling you about your bank account, something that's pretty important
A
to
human.
you, right? You want to talk to a human.
A human.
Right? Okay. I think the same theory applies. Now, could the robot do that job? Yes. Are you going to get way more frustrated talking to a robot than you would a live human being who could interact with you on a more personal level? I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, I think it depends on what it's about.
Yes.
Again, I will tell you this. I am actually actively looking into using AI for my business.
Yeah.
And I thought the same exact thing until I heard this updated one.
Oh, look, the hotel I was just at had it for their front desk.
Listen, this will fool
Impressive.
a ton of people.
Yes.
Like, that's how good it was.
Yes.
And it has machine learning.
Right.
And again, it's only going to get better.
Yeah.
So this guy built this out in a weekend. Imagine what you could do with consistent training and teaching it. Machine learning. It could listen to my recordings, take my tonality, things that I say, and mimic it.
Would you trust it to close the deal or only front the deal?
Only front the deal.
Correct.
Right now.
Correct.
Right now.
But that's my point.
So that's what I'm asking you is, do you think that it could get to a point where
It's closing deals for you? Man, I don't know.
not just MySpace. I mean, these jobs that are not really concerned right now. Do you think they'll get there eventually?
I think with coaching, no, because there is a very human aspect to coaching. Like, coaching is not just me writing your diet and then see you later. There's me writing your diet, you talk to me about your feelings about it.
Agreed.
I either confirm your feelings or I set you on the right way of thinking. And then I have people who are falling off constantly, they disappear, they ghost me, or they're like, man, I'm frustrated because I'm not seeing progress, or man, I'm kicking ass this week.
Yeah.
Like, they kind of need that human side to be like, you're doing a great job, or like, hey man, tighten up. You know, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, what are you paying me for?
No, that makes perfect sense.
Whereas the robot, the AI will never be able to do that.
Correct.
Right? The AI is an ATM machine, or not an ATM. It's like a vending machine. You put $20 in, you're going to get $20 worth of product out, right? Nothing extra.
Yeah. So I completely agree. I think that there's certain spaces where it's just impossible for it to replace.
Right.
I do think that it's going to give those people in those spaces, if they're utilizing it, a massive advantage.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you're using it for a lot of the mundane tasks.
Correct.
Like your business, fronting is a mundane task, okay? Trying to get people to just stay on the phone for 2 freaking minutes, right? If you could get rid of that aspect from a human and just have the robot do that, and then you come in and do the human part of it, amazing.
That's the plan.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's fantastic.
That's the plan.
That's fantastic.
And it is crazy to think that it basically turns your business into something so scalable
Yeah.
very, very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, and the reality is it works when I want it to work.
Right.
Without complaints.
Yeah.
Without feelings.
No days off.
No holidays. I'm getting butterflies.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to work the weekend. I want you to work the West Coast. Whatever I want it to do, it will do with just the press of a button. So it's super exciting.
Yeah.
But again, like I think that a lot of people are just kind of writing it off too quickly, and they're gonna miss the boat. Which, hey, in my space, please do. Please miss the boat.
Yeah.
You know, but I was just curious on your thoughts on that. I agree with you. I think like stuff like therapy and stuff that requires like real empathy.
It requires a human touch.
And a human touch. It's just not going to be.
Even at Blackstone, man, you know, like I deal with the wholesale side of things. So I'm dealing with other business owners, and like, you know, dude, those guys, they don't want to be sold. Okay. Like I have to be very careful with how I deal with a lot of these accounts where I'm subtly nudging them in a direction, right? Like, hey, I think you should pick this up. You know, this is one of my best flavors. Just try it. Here's a couple samples. The robot ain't gonna be able to do that. Okay, the robot will be like, please pick this up. Or, hey, I think you should do this, and these are 10 plot reasons why.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, or talking about bodybuilding with them, or like, hey, how's business going? Or hey, you know, blah blah blah. How's PJ? You know, those are things that the robot's not gonna be able to do in the way a human can. Right. And the connection is just as important for the business as the business transaction itself. Like I have a relationship with a lot of these accounts.
Oh yeah. 100%.
You know, I see them calling. I'm like, all right, I know for a good 15 minutes, we're going to bullshit. And then we're going to get down to brass taxes, you know, and then I have some guys who are just send me their order. I'm like, here, those guys it would work for.
Certain people it'll work.
Those guys it'll work for, you know, like, hey man, this is all I need. We're good. Here's the credit card. Okay. Yes, it'll work for that. But I think for the vast majority of people in my space, the relationships are everything because you can't even talk to these accounts without being in, right? Without having that relationship. Yeah. These guys will hang up on you in 3 seconds because they don't got time for you. There's 20 other brands calling them.
Yeah, there's no shortage. It's saturated.
Exactly. It's a very saturated market. So the relationships you make mean everything, and AI won't be able to replace
Is there a space that you think needs to be concerned that maybe isn't concerned right now?
I think that anybody in the writing, imaging, editing, anybody in those spaces. Sorry, Mike.
Sorry.
Anybody in those spaces should be pretty worried, man. Like graphic design, even music at this point.
Listen, graphic design, I have mixed feelings on, and it could be user error.
We're not there yet.
I was going to say.
We're not there yet.
I was going to say it could be user error because I know that prompting is so massive when it comes to AI.
Of course, you need to be as detailed as humanly possible. Bro, have you heard the AI music out there?
It's some of the best music I've heard.
It is unbelievable. There was one of Kanye West's Heartless done in like the 50s style of music. What might be the best song I've ever heard?
We were in Airbnb in Louisiana, and we did it for hours. We were just looking at AI versions of like old songs.
Yes.
It was amazing. 50 Cent, Many Men.
That also one of the best I've ever heard.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Pretty much any of them I heard. It's like mind-blowing how good it is.
Yes. There was one for Linkin Park too, man.
I heard it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So this is what I mean. Like, I don't know, could AI have made that song without the bass of that original song to build from, right? I don't know if you could be like, hey, AI, you know, drop a 4/4 drum line for me. You know what I mean? And give it.
There is a guy that does complete songs that are made up and done by AI that are pretty damn good. Dang. They're pretty good.
Dang.
I would say.
Is it the black guy on Instagram?
No, it's a white dude that plays drums along with it. He does both. So he does like the remixes of old songs like you're talking about. But he does both.
There's a black guy on Instagram. He does like yacht rock and ska versions.
Yeah, I haven't heard
of
that.
like hardcore metal songs. It is so good. It is so good. Like yacht rock is like what you would play like Jimmy Buffett style songs. You know what I mean? Like Margaritaville, but it's like Slipknot. And it's so good. It's so good. That stuff is like really impressive to me, man. Either way, I think that there's a lot of spaces that could be, that should be concerned.
Yeah.
And a lot of the creative spaces, ones where people have to like I said, do music or images or writing. I mean, writing is a slam dunk at this point.
I would say, like you said before, when it comes to the coaching space, it's like more of the mundane, just almost like jobs where you just are data entry, which is something in my space. There's a lot of data entry. And not only does it do it faster, it does it cleaner. Again, I think it's pretty much limitless once you learn how to prompt it, which I don't really know how to do yet. And I think in 2-3 years' time, I just think it's going to be night and day different. Just like it is if you look, again, you go back 3 years and you look, it's night and day different.
There's going to be some upset people. There's going to be people rioting, about their jobs getting taken, like the South Park episode. It's going to be... I think that as we watch it progress, there also needs to be limits to it. There needs to be a governor in place. Like there should be laws in place for it. Like I don't like the government sticking its big nasty hand in a lot of things in life, but this is something that if we don't, it could take off maybe too quickly.
I don't
be a little
disagree.
Scary.
I mean, there's definitely some massive downsides to it. I mean, you hear all these stories about young kids going and self-deleting themselves.
Yeah, man.
And there's a bunch of crazy stories that you hear.
I know.
They
ones
go
where
on, they think
it prompted them to do it. Like they're like, hey, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Those people don't deserve you.
Yeah.
Like it was one where it really convinced the kid to do it.
Yeah. So that kind of stuff, honestly, very scary. And you gotta, I agree that there should be some sort of regulation or monitoring, but like you said, like where's the line drawn? You don't want them to have full control of everything.
Of course. So that goes back to the same thing we talked about with social media. You know what I mean? Like
and the peptides. There's, I don't know.
I don't know either, man. I don't know the solution for it, but I do think, look, as far as the peptides are concerned, the government could keep their hands to themselves as far as I'm concerned. What I do with my body is none of your business. But when it comes to something like that, something that has the power to maybe make a video of the president of the United States saying that we're going to nuke everybody and it look real and sound real and look super legit and cause a massive problem, that is something a little different. That I think... daddy government.
That is scary to think about. I don't want to get on this topic because that's a whole nother can of worms, but there's so many negatives that could come out of that once the video gets to be.
There's a ton.
And it's already improved a ton.
The deep fake stuff has been something for a while.
It's insane.
They've had that technology for a while.
I mean, you got people that are making millions of dollars with AI, girls online, and I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah.
But look, it's exciting. I mean, I feel like we should probably wrap up. It's exciting to see how much it's grown, and it's exciting to see this peptide stuff. How much can these things really improve our quality of life in 10, 20 years? That's what I'm curious. Like to look at the difference 10, 20 years ago. Like in 2026. I remember life in the year 2000. I mean, dude, the cell phones were archaic. Yeah. The computers were archaic, and now we're at the point where we got the whole world in our pocket, man. Yeah. Get the whole world in our pocket. I think even 5 years time, it's gonna be
really wild,
really really interesting to look back.
And can these peptides maybe enhance life for another 10 years, 20 years? Could they just improve the quality of that life?
Exactly.
For the normal 80 to 85 year span that we're here. Pretty crazy.
I would assume, yeah.
I would assume so too, man.
Again, you all those ones that you spoke about.
If you're fixing a lot of baseline problems that a lot of people are dealing with.
Look, I mean, if you're chronically fatigued all the time and you're stressed all the time and you're not happy with yourself,
overweight,
and they can improve eating. All of those things,
I mean,
you're gonna be happier.
It kind of feels like a no-brainer.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, I would say it was an interesting topic, and I learned a lot on the peptides.
Yeah, and let us know what you think. I mean, have you taken any of the peptides yourself? Or how often are you using AI? Don't forget, we're going to say it again: like, share, comment, subscribe. You could say anything you want. You can call us names. You can be nice. You could be mean.
Yeah, you could be angry.
There's a lot of people that are angry at us especially on Instagram.
Tell you what was the reason?
It was the
I don't
female
remember.
one. It was the female one.
Because they don't watch until the end.
Yes.
And they're just jumping
That's
on us.
just typical. That's just the typical attention span of people on social media.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.